top champions.
Hello and welcome to episode 54 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight on the show we have John, United Ireland former forward, Michael Dundee former forward will hopefully join us as well later, and we also have Dundee United fan Joonas, and he will be joining us to talk about Celtic versus Dundee United's 1-1 draw at Celtic Park yesterday. On tonight's show, we will take a look at the latest news around the club, on new sports science department recruitment, Martin O'Neill linked to be with the chairman's role at Celtic, and we'll talk about Joonas, about our match reaction from yesterday's game against Dundee United. Firstly, though, Mark will go through a few shout-outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Just the usual shout-outs to Richie, Glasgow Green, Tim Alloy, Malika and Bobby. I see Bobby's in the live chat already. Evening to Jabber Jobbies. I haven't read that name out.
Some name.
Came up with that. Terence is in there. Evening Terence and me Kenny. Evening Kenny. Well, Paul, that's us. We've got 500 subs now.
Well, 501.
Have we got 501?
Yeah, I just saw it there when I was clicking on 501.
That's us. That's brilliant. I mean, really, we thought there'd been years before we've even getting near the kind of numbers when we spoke about that. It's not really something we speak a lot about right enough, but it's still good to get there, isn't it?
Exactly. How fast we got it, Mark, is pretty good, isn't it? You know.
What's this? Our 54th show or something, isn't it? So, I'm delighted enough with it anyway, Paul. I know.
Exactly. Right, move on.
Aye, when you go, I'll go and get John on.
So, the latest news around the club. Callum McGregor has committed his long-term future to Celtic Football Club. The new Celtic captain has signed a new 5-year deal with the Celts this week. Celtic's revenue fell to £60.8 million from £70.2 million in 2002. And the club recorded loss before tax of £11 million, mostly due to the COVID pandemic and not being able to attend matches last season. Celtic striker Joonas scan showed positive signs today, and the injury he picked up in midweek isn't as bad as us thought. Manager Bawz Bovril has confirmed that the Greek striker is back in training and is hoping to be in the squad for a weekend trip to Boardroom. Martin O'Neill has been linked with the new with a role at Celtic and has been linked with Celtic chairman in the future. Myself and Mark and John will discuss that a bit during the show. Firstly, though, I just welcome John to the show. John, welcome back.
Thanks a lot, mate. How are you?
Good. Bit disappointed over yesterday, but look, we'll talk about that as the show goes on. But one thing I think we can look at is sides that John Callum McGregor, how important he is to the club now, and it's good to see that he's committed to the club by signing this new 5-year deal.
I'm with him in it. It's good to see. Obviously, he's committing to Celtic and he can see his long-term future there. And he's obviously his own record and doing his interviews. Obviously been there for 8 years old, so that's quite basically his full life. Basically, he's been there. It's good.
It's just like Mark, like he's not going to be. Cal McGregor wouldn't be short even at his age now, like, because he's still a pretty young lad, like of moved some clubs down south either, Mark. So like it's a great boost for Celtic and a great deal that we got tied down to a 5-year deal, isn't it?
Well, he's a great player for us, Paul. But I think I'm signing this new deal. We're going to have him for the best years of his career.
Yeah. Especially
Still be
captain, how important he is now, Mark, to the team, like, you know, being captain and everything, like.
I mean, there's no doubt that we miss him in the team. I mean, but it's obvious. We'll speak of that as we go on. But well, it shows you as well that although there's a bit of turmoil again now, but a player like McGregor's willing to put, do you know what I mean? To commit.
Yeah, he sees, Mark, yeah.
He'll know a bit of what's kind of the plans are.
The vision, like, yeah, exactly. He sees the vision that Ange spoke to him, that Ange wants the team to play. And you could clearly see, like, I know results haven't been going away and stuff like that, but you can clearly see, Mark, like, that there is a buzz within the first team, like, that there wasn't there. Like, there's a connect between the players this season, do you know what I mean? And that's due to Ange and maybe senior players like Cal McGregor, you know, bringing this kind of connect between the players back, like, isn't it?
We seem to have a bit better a team spirit. Just the actual playing side of things that's letting us down now, Paul.
Another gap gone back, sorry.
I'm just going to say, but obviously, I mean, McGregor is a big part of that kind of side of the club as well. He's a big, although he comes across quiet in that, he'll be a big personality in the changing room and things like that.
Do you think that was him getting a captain's contract? Kind of the way Scott Brown was, like the top earner on it?
It might be, John.
I think practically, like, I think Celtic kind of have now seen as well, John, how important Cal McGregor is to the team. You know, that they don't want to be losing another key player, another experienced player, or maybe another lead on the pitch as well, do you think?
Definitely, 100%. I think Celtic kind of try to put trust in him as well, and also with him committing to Celtic's kind of let him know he wanted you to be here for the long haulways, and it's a good sign for us, obviously. And I love Cal McGregor. I just think everything comes through in the midfield, and he's just one of the players that just got so much energy. And it's a good sign. We've signed him up for 5 years. I'm happy with it.
Mark, another good news as well today is Jacko he's scanned in sharp as badly as they first thought. It's kind of bruising around the leg, and he's actually going to be back in training from today and tomorrow. He won't be in the running for Bayer Leverkusen, but Ange kind of saw that he'd be in the squad at Pittodrie against Aberdeen. Will he start? I don't know, because Ange was saying that he's still lacking the match fitness because he hasn't trained for the last couple of days again. So there's some signs that he could play some part in this game, and it's badly needed, Mark, isn't it?
But it's drastic, Paul, really is. I get it yesterday was just no defence for that. I mean, people are saying but how I mean, when you look at the options, I spoke to Mike about this earlier on, there wasn't options on the bench, but just mix it up on the pitch then. Go with two up front or something to try and change it with who you instead of just
maybe draw a bad up there or something like that, Mark. You know, that kind of thing. Or even put Yoss up there, being on Montgomery, and put Scales into that left back role. You know,
something like that. But it just I get a limit of options, but it was just the same old again, wasn't it?
Yeah. We'll talk about that as
too much.
Of course, the big thing, like we spoke about, Ange said that when the transfer window is done, that they will look into different departments, and they look at different, especially the sports science department. And Celtic have hired Anton McElhone, former Spurs fitness thing. Just have a look at him now. He's 40 years of age.
He's in the block, he said.
Yeah, 40 years of age. His preferred formation is a 4-2-3-1, which is kind of what Ange kind of goes similar to what Andrew goes, Mark. He has an A license, right? So he has caretaker manager as Martin. He was actually assistant manager, then taken over as caretaker manager. He was assistant manager at Bradford. Revolution, he was fitness coach. Spurs, he was fitness coach. He's been around the block, Mark, as you said, but this is an area, Mark, clearly that Ange wanted, and clearly where Celtic are lacking at the moment because of player picking up injuries due to the high intensity that Ange wants, the condition of a Mark. It's an area, Mark, that was really neglected over Celtic Football Club the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Aye, really has. I mean, the last boy he went. I mean, when was that? He went to RB Leipzig, wasn't it? He went to.
Yeah, Taylor, was it Taylor? Was it Taylor?
That was months ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And like, going by that, like you're saying, Mark, that was months ago and stuff like that. I know the first team was this main thing and getting Ange in, like, but it's taken a long while, John, for Celtic to hire someone in this era, hasn't it?
Aye, it's kind of, as you say, it's been a good few months for obviously the last one left, but I think Ange pointed out, and I think Dom as well, that in the summer the main priority was just getting players in, getting a squad there. It was going to go in the park, obviously improving the team, and all that would be dealt with once the transfer window was shut. And I think that's what we can see now. Obviously the window's shut and they're kind of starting to move forward that way, they're bringing these people in, but obviously just a bit of a setback with Dom leaving as well. But and I don't know too much about him, but I've looked at his records and stuff. I think it's 10 years he was at Spurs.
Yeah, he's been there, and he's been around the time at Spurs, Mark, as well. When what's the lad? What's his name, back? That's gone to Paris Saint-Germain. Now he's the manager there. Now he's with Southampton.
Pochettino.
Pochettino. And Pochettino had his teams, Mark, playing with a very high intensity as well, and they had to be fit. Like, so, when I was looking at, as John said, they're like looking at his record stuff.
A link.
Yeah.
I sent you, Paul. I've put a link in the live chat for folk to that.
Like the big thing about me, Mark, is looking through it. Is he's big into fitness. He's been fitness coaches at a lot of clubs as well, and considering how, like, I know our fitness, Mark, has stepped up under Ange, right? But I'm thinking, right, looking at all these injuries, like Cal McGregor was never being injured or things like that. But is that due to the intensity of the way Ange plays that they're picking up these little injuries, Mark? And
when I was speaking to Mike earlier on the day, Paul, I said to him, when I was speaking to you once, do you remember I said to you, you could probably expect there to be a few injuries in that when Ange first came in.
Yeah.
Players just weren't used
to.
You
want that level, like, yeah, exactly.
Intensity. And I think that kind of just came back to bite us in the backside a bit.
And do you think, like, that this fella will come in, Mark, now, and I think he'll show the players how to maybe condition their body, Mark. Do you know what I mean? How to bring them up to the next level, like, you know what I mean?
I think you'll even see things improving. See in the next, well, there's another international break coming up, isn't there? But see, like, maybe just after that, you'll even see improvements to what this guy's going to be doing already, I think, because our fitness level, they're Terence is saying that fitness levels have been poor for the last few years. They really have, especially last year with Lennon. So this guy, it won't take much for things to go your way. Do you know what I mean? It just takes this, like, a guy with this kind of knowledge to come in and tweak things a bit better.
Especially as well, John, that he's been, as you said there, he's been nearly 10 years in Spurs, and Spurs over the last 10 years, I suppose you could name numerous of players that he's worked with over these years. Like, so it is a great deal for Celtic to bring in someone as experienced as Anton as well, isn't it?
Definitely. I suppose if you last there for 10 years, obviously the problem for a good few managers in that time too. So if he's surviving the managers as well, then he must have something about him with the managers on the middle. They're kind of keeping them on and letting them continue what they're doing. And Spurs is one of these teams that they've got a good fitness about them as well, and they kind of like to play that football, like getting forward and stuff. But it's like changes from manager to manager. But the Spurs recently I've been seeing is kind of a good attacking side. But I'm kind of it's happy him to move forward and looking at his CV stuff. I'm quite happy with him.
Do you think as well, though, considering that he's kind of, like, I know it was kind of only a brief spell, Mark, and he's been assisted, do you maybe think that he's going to be a different air for Ange on the sideline as well, considering his experience in those roles as assistant manager and manager, that he'd be a different air for, like, normally, like, the sports sides would kind of be more on the training side of stuff, Mark, do you get me? But do you think maybe now that he's another experienced head to come in with likes of John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan, that Ange will have a third person in there?
It might be, Paul. I don't know, to be honest, but
No, it's just interesting, like considering like that. Yeah,
I was going to
you
bring
know,
it up as well about him because he's a qualified coach and
yeah, an A license and everything. Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. So I don't know if he's just going to come in and like solely focus. I mean,
yeah,
job,
because like
his job
you
title
think
is
with
the head of sports
the
science.
sports science, like, but like if you're going to bring in someone sports science back and previous people who we were linked with, like we were linked with the fellow who we thought Mark was that left the Yokohama that time around the same time as Angie left a few weeks later. If you looked at his CV, it was purely science, only sports science, like it was all fitness thing. But this fella, like, actually has a manager's license, like you know what I mean? Like,
He's a more rounded kind of coach.
yeah,
I know what you're trying.
like that's what I was saying, like that. We were saying like will Ange bring in these new coaches or will Ange bring in, do you know, like maybe this is kind of killing the two birds with the one stone. That he has a proper coach and an assistant, and then he has another leader in the sports science department. You know that there's an extra there, like you know. Like a title mark really is only a title, like really, isn't it? Like it's a title to give him sports science. That's his department, but he could
Gavin,
be other roles.
Gavin
Yeah,
Strang that looks after that for in the dugout, isn't it?
yeah.
I,
You know,
I don't know. I think I'd maybe be surprised, Paul, if he ended up like sitting in the dugout with Ange.
you know, it's just be interesting to see, like, you know, when can you start, Mark? When do you think can you start seeing like, and will that help all these? We said like as you said there, and the lads on the live chat said, well, we've been picking up these injuries and stuff like that. Like the main thing for me here with injuries, and I have to name him out, like because he's in and out, he comes in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Is Mickey Johnson, like if Mickey Johnson can't improve his conditioning on a guy like this, Mark, surely Celtic have to kind of cut their losses with him, you know?
Would you think so, wouldn't you? I mean, no disrespect to the lad, but I just don't see Mickey Johnson having much of a future at Celtic.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Would you agree that, John, like that, if their fitness levels can't come up, like that we have an expert now in that department, if players can't get up to the level that Ange wants them to be, they shouldn't be at the club.
100%. If obviously Michael Johnson came into the Celtic first team, all his injuries all the time. When he comes back, I kind of figure out he's played with Celtic. I'm like, that's right, Michael Johnson. But he just seems too injury prone. I don't think he's going to keep up with it kind of standard of Ange, and obviously maybe get my own move or just cut ties altogether.
Just too lightweight. That's really all it is. I mean, he's a great player, do you know what I mean? But just he's that lightweight, and I don't know. He's needing to get.
It seems to be like a different injury all the time. Like, you know, he knows his calf injury. The last one was I don't know what happened there.
Maybe down to his size.
Yeah. Down to the physicality of the Scottish game.
If you're a big, strong guy, you get what I mean. You've got less a chance of picking up the kind of injuries Mikey Johnson's picking up.
It'd be interesting to see how the likes of Yota and Abada go through the season, because they're fairly like Gary's, and we'll actually see if they're actually picking up a lot of injuries, Johnny. Because I know Mickey Johnson's slightly lighter, but Abada and Yota are fairly light as well, aren't they? You know,
Probably if you took a half them, Paul, they're probably
built.
they're probably strong, like guys underneath their shirts, because they've been training at a kind of high. Well, maybe no Abada, but like Yota training. Do you know what I mean? Training at a higher kind of intensity for like he's been. But I mean, they seem to be handling it so far. But that doesn't seem. I mean, people have had to like tussles and digs with him. He seems to be able to hold his own.
Hold his own, yeah. Was it fairness to him? Yeah, because I was actually worried about that. The intensity of the game, I thought, like with the Scottish game, like a lot. But as you said there, Mark, he seems to be. And same with Kyogo as well, being a light lemma. He seems to take the tackles as well, don't he, Kyogo?
But you know? That's it. But you can be wee and skinny, but you can still be strong.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
Ryan Giggs was never well built, but he was well in muscle for his size. You know what I mean? He was an athlete. You could tell by looking at him. I mean, even if you want to go to the other extreme, look at players like Messi, Ronaldo. I mean, Ronaldo's. If you've seen Ronaldo with clays on, he just looks like a normal, decent enough built guy, and then you look at what he's like underneath that shirt, and it's just,
Said he was a body's a 27-year-old.
it's like me, man. It's like chiseled out.
Yeah.
So it is.
Moving on. The rumours are still kind of aren't going away that Ian Bankier is to step down as Celtic chairman. One name that kind of has popped up recently, myself and Mark talked about it, is Martin O'Neill. Now, Mark, we're always saying a football man to make football decisions within Celtic. What would be your thoughts on Martin O'Neill coming in?
As I said to you, time, Paul, I'm a wee bit unsure, but the more I think about it, I'd be happy enough with that. As long as he's not trying to interfere with like first team affairs and things like that. Just like what we were saying, he's the footballing voice in the dressing, in the boardroom. You know what I mean? Don't get it wrong, a lot of his stuff, Martin O'Neill stuff, it's all outdated when it comes to coaching and things like that, Paul. But up there, he knows his way about Celtic, and he knows his way about worldwide football. Do you know what I mean? So he'd bring a lot of experience to it, and he'd bring a lot of, I think, a bit of calmness to the support if they brought in somebody like Martin O'Neill, because at least we'd say, well, we know that he loves the club, and he's in there at the very top level.
Saying that, Mark, you obviously bring that calmness to the sport. Do you think that's a move with the board to kind of appease us, just to kind of keep us quiet for a bit?
I don't think Ian Bankier's going to vote himself out of a job to keep the support happy, John. Do you know what I mean?
In terms of see, obviously behind the scenes, he probably still have his fingers and stuff, and probably part of the wee crew behind the scenes. But obviously a lot of people start to get on Bankier as well, and obviously bring Martin O'Neill in. Kind of keeps us quiet for a bit, doesn't it? Keeps us.
Bankier goes and joins that other board that Peter Lowell's still on.
Aye, kind of something along the lines, isn't it? It's just,
I was looking at. I was thinking about today, right? I can't see Ian Bankier or Mark stepping down anytime soon, anyway. All right. Now the rumours are still there, so I was thinking Peter Lowell had to give, was it 6-month notice to the stock exchange that time?
Right.
So what I was thinking, did he also maybe give his notice? Could we be possibly looking at maybe January of next year that maybe Bankier stepping down?
You can't keep that quiet, Paul, because it gets published on the stock exchange.
On the stock exchange, yeah.
As soon as anything like that happens,
straight out there.
Even right away, I've set up for email notifications for Celtic off the stock exchange, so you would get something in your email box right away if you've done that.
Yeah.
This talk like Bankier being away in a couple of weeks and that, I don't think that's going to.
No, it's not going to happen. Right? Especially now, Mark, considering that Dominic McCoy's gone, Peter Lowell is gone. You know, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And at the moment, I don't think David Desmond is maybe pushing it there. Maybe Bankier to step down. Do you think because of all the changes at board level, or is he trying to push it and trying to get a Bankier standing firm on his position?
Sorry, Paul. I'm just going through the live chat here. Bestie, that's right about that with Forrest in his car. I can't remember what kind of car it was, but it was like dead low down, and it was causing him sciatica, you call it that, the pain in your back, and it was just his car was that low down, it was giving him back problems. So that's true what Liam's saying there.
So I heard Scott Brown as well. I think he was coaching last year, like youth team, and I think he had a wee bit of drive as well, and he had to get up as well because of it, because it was kind of causing him a wee bit of injury now and again. Kind of along the same lines, aye.
Right. Sorry, Paul, just it caught my eye there.
No, just saying, do you think maybe Desmond himself is pushing Bankier to step down, or do you think maybe Bankier himself wants to step away, Mark, considering his age now that Peter Lawrence stuff is gone? You know, because the rumours normally a rumour kind of dies out, but this is kind of staying, really, isn't it?
Bouncing about for a while, Bankier would be stepping down, but I don't imagine it'll take much persuasion, if you know what I mean, because he really doesn't do anything. Do you get what I mean? But nobody can actually tell you what Ian Bankier actually does for Celtic.
I mean,
other clubs, their chairman and that are like, they pop up on the telly and interviews every kind of now and again and things like that, but Bankier just...
They're going to meetings with the SPL, Mark. They're talking to the do you know what I mean? They're talking to like when I was reading about it, it's like he's supposed to be the one that's keeping the club kind of rolling. Do you know what I mean? That everything is rolling and rolling and rolling. But like the club's in the fucking shambles at board level, you know. So the question is like, it's under really Bankier's management that this board level seems to be falling apart, because he's supposed to be the one who's kind of keeping all this together, keeping everything rolling at board level. You know, that's
He's in charge of the board, basically.
yeah. You know, and the board at the moment just in the shambles.
I've said it before, Paul. I can't see Dermot Desmond running any other company the way he's doing this with Celtic.
What I was thinking, you know, as you said that, right? It could be just a stupid suggestion, Mark. I don't know, but you think that Dermot Desmond actually didn't know the board levels in the shambles until Peter Lawwell stepped away, and he's actually seen the extent of where Celtic are now. Like,
Well, if he
Desmond really didn't really give McCoy a chance. He saw that he wasn't done for the job and kind of got rid of him straight away, didn't he?
Aye, but if he's no noticed that the board's not fit for purpose, Paul, then he's took his eye off the ball.
Yeah.
A lot worse than any's have feared.
Yeah, you know, because that's going back to what. Sorry, no, John, there for being back in, but that's going back to what JFP said to us, Mark. Has Dermot Desmond like taken his eye off the ball? Did he step back too far? Do you know what I mean? And give too much control to Peter Lawwell? You know,
Terence has brought on the live chat to talk about Paul McGinley going on the board. I mean, what's he got to do?
Yeah, this is all kind of.
It's just rumours and whispers,
but it's all buddies to him as well, Mark, isn't it, Dermot Desmond?
That's as well, you saw his cronies into it.
Like John, all these people that's been linked to this role, the only one really who we think was capable of taking is Martin O'Neill. And like, if Celtic do go down the route of maybe bringing Paul McGinley onto the board, that's just making another mistake like they did with Dominic McCoy, bringing him over from the rugby and he not knowing the football side of stuff either. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's Paul McGinley. I don't know who he is. I've not got a clue.
Gone for. He's a gone for.
I've not got a clue who he is. Paul, but in terms of Martin O'Neill, I'd be happy with Martin. He's a legend at Celtic. I love him. He brought one of the most amazing times at Celtic I've witnessed. And he get money out of the board as well to build that squad, so he kind of seems to get that into. Okay, he'll demand some things as well to get stuff done on the park. And if he came in, I would be behind it definitely 100%. But in terms of that Paul McGinley, it's the first time I've heard him, and I've not got a clue. I can't comment to him.
He was a good golfer, but I don't know what a golfer would bring to being a sit. Do you get what I mean?
I know what you mean. It's probably
on the board or something like that.
It's probably that's thing Paul was saying, and it's one of his mates in it, investments in it. I mean, investment in that here. It's the way they work businessmen into it. Probably a lot of them will be taking money out of Celtic as well, putting a wee bit in, but taking a lot more out. And say it's probably their pals outside of football and that as well. But if it's going to be anybody, but Martin O'Neill, I'll be wanting.
I could really kind of suggest, Mark, that he'd bring in one of his kids.
Well,
you know,
yeah. One of his sons is, and I think that's one of the reasons that he won't sell. I've said it before. I don't think Dermot Desmond would entertain selling Celtic unless it was a crazy offer. Because one of his sons is right into it. Do you know what I mean? He's Celtic daft a bit like us, kind of hang like over Celtic and that. So I think
and he was kind of linked at the start as well, Mark, wasn't he? When
him taking over for Peter Lawwell, wasn't it?
Peter Lawwell that time, yeah.
Did he know? Has he not been at the last couple of AGMs as well, representing his dad and things like that?
Yeah. So there's the thing. Do you want to bring Joonas on? If he's
Joonas.
I suppose, John, just briefly, like your thoughts on yesterday before we bring Joonas in, just before I go through yesterday.
In terms overall, Paul, we created the chances were there. We were creating a chance after chance. We hit the woodwork numerous times. And the amount of service he was getting parked across that goal line was unbelievable. Just dreadful. Honestly, we had a decent striker in that park. One or two of them would have been put away. So it was all the service was coming in. It's just just an empty jersey, and that's what's kind of happening. There's nothing clinical up front now, and Keel's been a big loss. But in terms of honestly, just the squad's depleted a bit in a minute.
You go on hoping then with Yeti as well, John, that when he got the 1 or 2 goals there the last couple of weeks, that he'd kick on from that. But he's really offering Celtic nothing in terms of his movement either. So he's too slow and he's too static, isn't he?
It just seems to be he's getting a couple of goals and it's like I'm speak for a bit. Then just doesn't. It's not enough for him. It's an empty jersey, you know. I don't know. It was just frustrating to watch, obviously, because you could see like Jota, he was just driving the defence all the time, and there was a lot of passion in him. He left everything on the park, and he was creating so many chances. And Abada as well. And I think Rogic had 1 or 2 wee magic runs as well, but he just didn't pull the trigger in time. He just kind of tried to run it in. And so obviously Cal McGregor's a massive force, and we're lacking a bit of steel midfield to kind of get a bit of dig in there and kind of keep it tight at the back. But in turn, it's just a striker and a defensive midfielder we're kind of crying out for them now. We just need to help him get Kugo back as quick as possible.
But even when we were getting the balls into the box, and I thought that was one of that we would play to one of a Yeti's strengths, that we were getting the ball into the box and stuff like that. But then when I was looking at him yesterday, John, he wasn't even getting into
he wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there, do you know what I mean? As
soon as he sees Abada or Jota making that run down the wing and going to cut in to get across into that box, his main thought should just be get right and tap of that keeper right in the box, get in there and give him an option. But you've seen it, and I think Ewan Montgomery had a nice one as well. He kind of drove with the ball, I think he took it round somebody and he's whipped it right across, and it's just went right along him out for the goal and just flew right out the other side. It was perfect. Any decent striker with a bit of wits about them would have an own tapper at and knocked that in. And that one, it came to Jetty's feet and how he just skived out of the bar's unbelievable. Honestly, man, it's just, I don't know, he's just frustrating. And I just, even this Greek guy, I've not seen him, but his record last season looks good. And I can't wait to get him fit and Kyogo and get 2 decent strikers back in there to get goals, man.
We definitely need a different option up front at the moment, and it's actually worrying that we'll only have a Yeti going into the Beverly Lewis kit, and possibly Aberdeen as well, that Jacko might be only fit for maybe the last half hour of the Pentargy game, John, is what I'm reading today. You know?
100%. It's worrying. It's got that worrying that obviously Moffat's been brought up for the B squad. If we can bring a B squad striker up, I would rather go for that option. So I've just no confidence in Jetty at all. I just feel the exact same as him as the way I do with Barkis. Just honestly, it's just so annoying yesterday watching them. The game was there for the taking with the chances we created. We should have been at least a decent striker in that part. We were going at that game with 3 or 4 goals, but as you say, he wasn't even making the effort or anything to get in and tap at it. Obviously, to make an option for the wingers to get when they're closing the ball at them. Maybe just I don't know. Just he's no Celtic standard.
No, Mark, is you want to stay with us?
I'm just hold on, Paul. Just having a wee bit. That didn't seem to be the right.
What was I say there? Another player, John, that's been cut out, Chris, man, is Starfelt again. A lot of people are saying that maybe Welsh should be starting now ahead of him. What's your thoughts there? He seems to kind of getting a bit shaky again, don't he?
It seems to be obviously kind of Starfelt and Carter Vickers as the first 2 options. I just obviously really think Starfelt's obviously got that spot because of the money we've paid for him. It's one of the ones who've paid all that money, get him playing. He needs to go in the park to play and try and get a tune at him. But it's got to come to a point, obviously, you've got young Welsh here who's not put a foot wrong. And if he's getting pass marks every game and he's doing well and he's a product of a youth, it's got to come to a point where it's got to say to Starfelt, you also need to up your game. You're going to be sitting next few matches on the bench and Welsh will be getting his chance. And Vickers and Welsh got a good partnership, and it's down to Starfelt to get yourself back in that team. But I think it's obviously because of money we've spent them, it's to play now. It's just to justify the money we've paid in that. But he's had 1 or 2 bomb scares, but I've seen good things off him as well. I've seen interceptions he's made, I've seen tackles he's made, and I've seen he's won some headers and that. There's been good signs there too, but he's got these shaky moments, and it's these shaky moments he can lose your points and lose your matches, and the now when the points will drop, we can't afford any of that just now. So it's just shaky times for him, but obviously we've got the option of young Welsh here, so it's not really something. If it does come to that, then we can drop Starfelt to the bench, and we've got obviously a young player in Welsh who we're confident in, and those going to come in and put in good performances. So in terms of centre back, I'm kind of calm about that just now. It's just this up front that's really worrying us.
I suppose another kind of concern as well, John, yesterday, considering the amount of injuries had, is that Janovic coming off injured. You know?
He it's kind of, obviously it's poor it's happened. I just hope it's not something serious, because we've seen Janovic, he looks a good player and he's got a good signing for us, and it would just, obviously it's forced Ange into an early change, and that Montgomery could have been somebody could have brought on later in the game when we were looking for that goal, because Montgomery's got a good wee bit of drive about him and he likes to get into the box and try and make things happen, so maybe could have been, if Janovic didn't have to come off, we could have maybe brought Montgomery on and stuck him on the left and maybe moved Jota into the middle a bit to kind of help, obviously, with Jetty and put more options in there for the crosses coming in to get and tap it. But just poor, obviously, had to come off you. I just hope his injury's not too serious, because it's not something that can be doing right now either. We've got too many of them.
Terence was saying there that it's actually Janovic's hamstring, so if it's actually it's not good, like he's going for a couple of weeks with that. But look, at least we have at the moment there, we have young Montgomery, who actually hasn't put a foot wrong either since he's come in, and look, we have Scales. Hopefully he'll be up and running soon. Match. I
was impressed with him, Paul. You were speaking highly of him and that.
Yeah.
So when I seen him come on, it just an instinct. When you see him, I suppose he gets something about him. He just comfortable on the ball.
Option he gives us as well, John. Like we're speaking about not really changing the system, but changing the personnel. And Scales would kind of give you that option with his height as well, because he'll get into the box as well with his height, and then he's a great footballer as well, like, you know.
I seen that he was comfortable in the ball and his passing was nice. He was always looking for the ball. He was always wanting to get involved. And how, Paul, does he get into, can he play defensive midfield? Can I just in front of the back two? No. Slowly,
really on the left, any side on the left. Now, if he threw him in there, Chris, would he be able to do a job? He probably would, but he wouldn't be natural to it, George. You know what I mean? He won't be able to read the game as much as he would on the left. You get me? You know, one fella who I think that.
Hold on, Paul. I think that's Joonas joined us now. You there, Joonas?
All right, lad. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, it was me. I've got a link for you, but it must not be working anymore.
No, you know what it was? I had to I changed phones. I've got a new phone, and I had to re-sign into everything. I hadn't signed into Skype since I got a new phone, so I had to add you again. I think that was what the problem was.
Well, thanks for coming on anyway, Joonas.
You obviously made a bet, John. You obviously put a bet on Dundee. Saw John at Celtic yesterday. Yours that you got your new phone, did you? Look, as a Dundee United supporter, Joonas, you must be happy about the game yesterday. Do you think you could have gone one better? Do you think you had a chance to win that game? Considering, like, we thought that we had a few chances that we hit the bar. What's the side of Dundee United fans? Do you think that you could have won that game yesterday?
Well, I mean, we've not won at Parkhead since 1992, and I think we've played Celtic 100, including yesterday, 112 times away from home, and we've won 3. So a point for us yesterday was a great result, and I think. I mean, you guys had obviously chances, Ayeti with that miss from a yard out or whatever it was, but I thought we never did what most teams do when they come to use. We actually tried to play football and pass the ball on the ground and actually made it a competitive game. We never just sat in with 11 men behind the ball and tried to park the bus.
I noticed that Dundee United, they came at us, they tried to make a game of it. They came and played football, and they were getting their full pelt at us and try to get a win out of it, and that's what you like to see. And that's something you can't take away from teams as well, and just kind of blame our performance. You've got to give credit to Dundee United as well. They've had a going. Unfortunate for them, they've got a point out of it, but unfortunate for us, we've kind of dropped 2 points.
Do you think maybe coach saw that the gaps will be there? You notice if he attacks Celtic, considering the way that we play, we play a high line and stuff like that, that he'd be able to get the ball on the floor and get the ball through those gaps, and that's why he actually attacked us yesterday.
I think, to be fair, I don't think it's just against Celtic. I think that's his philosophy.
That's his style of play, yeah.
Yeah, every team he wants to attack and be on the front foot. So he said that this season we weren't going to make exceptions regardless of the opposition, and I'd rather us lose a game or draw a game going for it rather than park the bus and then see if you do park the bus and you can see the goal in the 79th minute or whatever, you've got to all of a sudden change your game plan from what you've been doing for the whole game. But if you're attacking, then at least it gives you a chance to nick an equaliser or get a goal, even if you do go behind or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's just a more positive style of play. And the best way to cause teams problems is try and attack. I mean, I thought we struggled with your wingers. I thought the boy Freeman was up against Kyoto. I thought he struggled first half a wee bit. He's got enough, and that's where your goal came from. But I thought we were no bad on the turnovers. We were decent on the counter attack and that, and we pressed you a wee bit higher. We never just sat 6 yards out for a goal and let you knock it about. You know what I mean?
A big area for us, Joonas, is the problems we're actually having in the midfield area. And I think you being raving about him, Michael's being raving about him. Is it Fuchs, the lad? He controlled that midfield yesterday again, Mark. Did fairness to him.
I've watched him a few times because Mikey and Joonas spoke about him before. And I spoke to Mikey earlier on in the day and I was saying to him as well, he could have played for us yesterday. Don't get us wrong. I think he was lucky to stay on the park. He was tackling McCarthy.
I think. No, you go, Mark.
I was saying to Mikey as well, but you can see as well, for me that kind of shows you that he's a decent player as well. See, you get booked as early on in that and know that basically...
It's committed, lad.
But you're in your last leg and then to play the game he played, to stay on it. I think he's a great player. Definitely somebody I hope he's caught Angie's eye yesterday.
Did not get man of the match against him as well once Dundee United beat Rangers. I think he get man of the match against him as well. I think he was outstanding against him too.
Aye, when we won 1-0, aye.
But you've got to mind as well, we're slagging off a Yeti, but you've got to say as well, he was up against a 16-year-old centre-back. That young Kerr
Smith, yeah.
I mean, that's even me. No offence, young lad did a great game and he's meant to be a brilliant prospect. Joonas will have seen a lot more than I have, but I mean, he's still a 16-year-old laddie. You know, an experienced player should be basically bullying him on the park.
All the top clubs down in England, I read there. I sent a podcast at Man United looking at him, Chelsea looking at him. There's European clubs, AC Milan looking at him like this fella is hot property at Dundee United. Isn't he at the moment, the fella Carr?
Aye, well, he came in, he started last week in the derby because Liam Smith was injured, so he played right back in the derby and he did a job, but centre half's his position, and because Charlie Mulgrew got injured against Hibs during the week, that's how Kerr Smith started yesterday. And to be fair, we were a wee bit, it's a bold team selection, obviously, at Parkhead, away to Celtic. Started throwing him in there, but I thought he had a great game yesterday. And like you say, I thought he was composed, he won his headers. He just did what he needed to do. He didn't do anything flashy, but he got himself through the game, and he was never he never really caused any issues, you know what I mean?
You wouldn't have known watching him yesterday, you wouldn't have said he's a 16-year-old lad.
I didn't know that until you say that there, Mark. I'm just looking him up the room and I'm quite shocked with that. And that doesn't say much for a jetty, does it?
But like that you hit it in the head there, John. Like, Mark, the experience of a Yeti being done at West Ham, being around with Switzerland national team, scoring goals for Basel and stuff like that, and he comes in then and he's outsmarted by a young lad still, like, I wouldn't say a young lad, I'd say a boy, learning his trade at centre back, and he played Yeti off the ground.
But he's not even a Yeti. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, that's a bit. I'm not meaning to like target him for a kicking, but that's who Celtic should have been targeting, is like the weak link. Like, get Rogic running at him, get Turnbull running at him, get Jota in the middle running at him. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing, just kind of. I don't mean bully him, but put him under.
Pester him, aye.
Aye, pester him. See if you can get under his skin and get him. Because you're saying to yourself, if you don't know much about Dundee United, you're saying, well, a 16-year-old boy at centre back, they're going to get pumped today. And it just didn't. Just the boy. Joonas said, I thought he had a great game, the lad.
Joonas, just going by what you saw Celtic yesterday, and look, a lot of fans already have been on Ange's back because, like, with Ange at the moment, it doesn't seem to be no plan B. It's either he's fast moving football, but at the moment we can't do that because of injuries. But do you think as us as Celtic fans should be concerned at the moment where we are in the league table?
See, to be fair, right, I think it's too early. Like, I know obviously there's got to be a wee bit of a balance as well, because, like I say, injuries, a new gaffer in charge, trying to implement a new style of play. But what I would say as well, you look at the results so far in the league, even looking at Rangers and everything, like Dundee missed a penalty in that against them on Saturday, and they're conceding goals. I don't think it's going to be anybody's running away with it. I think the league's pretty tight. There seems to be everybody seems to be cutting everybody's throat all over the place. So I wouldn't be overly worried. I mean, what is that? What, 7 games, 6, 7 games in, half a dozen games in? I wouldn't be starting to press any panic buttons yet, with still boys to come back for injury and things and stuff. So not at the moment anyway. I don't think there's any point in knee-jerk reactions or throwing the toys out the pram.
But that's typical Celtic supporters, isn't it? You know, because they're straight on the gaffer's back, and so I was saying, like, it's down to him, Joonas.
Modern football, Paul. I mean, we've said it before, and it's not as bad as up here, but I mean, down in England, you're 6 jobs for the sack.
Oh, aye, 6, 2 or 3 defeats, and you're the favourite to get
games for the sack. I mean, aye.
Your favourite to get the bullet, you know what I mean? So I think as well, it's a different mentality with your fan base compared to like ours as well, because you're expected to win every game, whereas we're not expected to win every game. Like, we'll approach every game trying to win, but we're not like realistically expected to win every game that we play. So that's where a lot of the impatience comes from with your fan base as well, because a lot of the lads that support Celtic just expect to win every single week, you know what I mean?
If you had with him yesterday, Joonas, and you had lost 2-1 or 2-0 or something, it's a case of, dust yourself down and just forget about it.
Yeah, for us, because any points away in Glasgow for us is a bonus point, you know what I mean? Realistically, I mean, you look at our record, I mean, that's our first point there in 8 years, and what is it, 3 wins in 111 games or something. So we've not won there since 1992, so we're not expected to get anything from that game. So anything that we get at those sort of venues is a bonus, you know what I mean? But if we'd lost, it would have been a case of going to Ross County at home on Saturday and focusing on winning that game, you know what I mean? That's the way it works with us.
Like, there's been positives as well, Joonas, for yourselves. As you said last season, like, on the ballot, like, if you concede a goal, you had to change all your approach. But this year, if you concede a goal, you're keeping the same system in place, you know? So, like, you got 2 great results against the Glasgow clubs. One drawn and one win. What's your thoughts on so far with Dundee United this season? A lot of people were critical, of course, getting the manager job because he was so inexperienced and so, but he's really starting to grow into the position as manager, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned after the Aberdeen game because we lost and we looked absolutely horrible. But to be fair, he's got them. What he's done is he's made people proud to support United again. The boys actually want to play for the club. Everybody knocks their pan in for 90 minutes. Everybody knows what their job is. But it's actually entertaining. It's good football to watch. We're getting the ball on the ground and we're passing it. We're not just shelling it 70, 80 yards from the centre half. You know what I mean? It's like, and considering the start that we've had for like Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts in our first 7 games, to be on 11 points from that is good. To be sitting 5th in the league, going with a week to go before the international break. I think every United supporter would have took that at the start of the season.
There have been really impressive on the course. I remember when Joonas first came on, like, he was kind of worried as well about the inexperience of a course coming in, but he's really stepped up to the Dundee United challenge, hasn't he? And as Joonas said, like, he's made players believe in the jersey, believe in Dundee United, bring a passion back to the club. But we were saying that we felt when Ange first came in, wasn't it?
Well, Joonas will know better than us, and he just said it. You know what I mean? All the fans seem to be happy with how things are going. I mean, I've probably watched three of their games, I think, as I've watched this season, and I've been impressed with what I've seen for them. I really have. As I said, I like that Fuchs in the midfield, your boy Kerr. But they also, Joonas said, they're hard working, and I mean, they never kind of settled to just let Celtic. I mean, they were happy for us enough to pass the ball about in half for us, but then after being dead for a couple of minutes, they were starting to push up. Whereas other teams are just usually come to Celtic Park and just sit back and let us just pass the ball about in their own half.
Do you think so, Mark? Maybe Ange kind of has trouble playing against teams that push against his system? We saw it against AC Alkmaar in the second leg when they started pressing us. Do we struggle against teams like that, Mark, that actually press us?
Well, see, Bronze, Paul, I think we do a bit. I mean, because there was spells yesterday, see when Dundee United were pressing us, there was spells yesterday that the centre backs didn't know what to do with the ball, basically. They were that Dundee United players were getting that close to them and they were turning, and it was for wee spells with Davy stupid 5-yard passes just because there was no movement about in the middle of the park.
John, do you want to come in there?
I think if teams all press us all the time, we kind of struggle. It's not something we can expect teams to do. Is it times when teams kind of come on to us, we kind of get shocked a wee bit, and it kind of knocks our play off us a wee bit as well. But in terms of Angie's style, I think when Angie gets up full flow and everybody's adapted in it well and it's clicked, and all the fitness is up to the high standards, and that, I think it's going to worry once teams are going to kind of struggle to even play against us and shoot up shop against us. But so everywhere Andrew's went, it always starts off slow to start, and when he gets that team to where he wants to be, it just flies and just goes, and nobody can stop him.
Sorry, go on, John.
No, on you go, mate, on you go.
I remember you came on to us and we spoke to you about the Celtic board, and we spoke about the Dundee United board and all the coaches set up, and you said he brought in the big sports science department, he looked at all that, he rectified, he needed to play. What benefits have you saw when you went into these areas and fixed these areas, and like with Celtic how you do land out from Tottenham? I thought, like, what effects should Celtic fans not see, do you think?
Well, I was listening to obviously you guys talking about the sports sciences before I came on, and I was noticing a few comments in the chat about lads that have been injury prone. But what seems to have happened is since Courts has got the job, he's managed to get Peter Pollitt on the park for 90 minutes near enough every week, whereas under Mellon you were lucky if you got him for 3 games and then he was out for 6, and he's been one of our best players so far this season. So maybe
highly rated when he was younger, Joonas, Peter Pollitt.
Yeah, he was
Aberdeen,
and then he went away to MK Dons and that, and he was done no bad down south. But even when he came back to us, he signed for, I think it was 18 months, and then he got a new 2-year deal in the summer, and there was a bit of eyebrows raised from boys because he's a bit like sort of Forrest and maybe Mikey Johnson's previously. It was like he was never fit, but he's been excellent this season. He's got 4 goals for us this season, a couple of assists, and he's played every week. And he seems, so whether they've tailored a fitness programme to suit him or whatever, or you know what I mean, but
yeah,
everybody just seems fitter anyway. Like, you seen us yesterday, even obviously we tired a wee bit, but we could have nicked it right at the end when they had that counter-attack with Louis Perry at the end when he had that chance and stuff. So before we wouldn't have had the energy to get up the park in the last minute, especially after a shift at a ground like yourself, you know what I mean? So I think you're noticing that the boys are fitter and we're getting more out of them, like, yeah.
That's it, Mark. Like what Jonas says, like, would he had a different kind of a trade regime for the Dundee players? Like maybe like this fella might have kind of different kind of things for
individual plans to keep them. Do you know what I mean? They monitor everything now, Paul. Where do you know what I mean? They're peeing into bottles every week to get tests done and all that kind of thing. So these guys come in and they just tailor it to like your personal needs. I mean, Paul, I think it even gets to the stage they're telling you need to go to bed at this time of night so that do you get what I mean? So you're even getting things like enough sleep.
Good, but what's your thoughts on yesterday, Mark? I know we spoke about Yessi, but we said we give him the benefit of the doubt when he got the last 2 goals. Like hopefully he'd kick on and stuff like that, but he hasn't really, and he's really not offering nothing to Andrew's system, is he?
Oh, that was one of the worst performances I've seen our Celtic in a long time, Paul, yesterday. It really was absolutely garbage. I mean, I've stuck up for him, but I said, like, on the...
Give him the benefit of the doubt, yeah.
But even I've said, Paul, he's an out-and-out poacher. So
yeah, and he didn't even do that, did he?
No,
yeah.
No, I mean, that missed the one. I could never understand how people can miss the kind of balls. It just needs to hit you.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, he done, and after that, he done absolutely hee-haw the rest of the game. Absolutely nothing. He just done empty jersey. Just hopefully, Jacko's fit enough to at least make an appearance on Saturday.
All the service was there for him as well, wasn't it?
Exactly.
See the amount of boys getting hurt across the bow for that goal. It was never there. It was just a decent striker with good instincts is going to look at that winger coming in and going, he's making an interest and he's putting that ball across. I'm getting an interpreter, or at least I'm putting a bit of pressure on the defender or the keeper to kind of make something happen. Maybe he's nowhere near it or nothing. And
We've moaned for months about not getting service into the box. Do you know?
there's-
Moaned for months about it, and then all of a sudden we have a game like that yesterday, and just nobody in there to put the chances away. And again,
that's what.
said as well, Turnbull and Vogic in the same team just never works.
Do you think Turnbull looks dead in his feet? I think he just looks knackered now. I've not seen nothing off him lately.
Even I don't think Rogic has went back the way as well for the way he was performing a few weeks ago.
I think he's just worried players will get in it in a game. Will give you that wee 2 or 3 moments of magic here and there. But it's not enough in it. You're going to need it week in, week out.
His decision making yesterday let him doing a lot of the time as well. Rogic,
Shoot.
no getting the ball away quick enough, or wanting an extra touch in the ball when he's running weight and things like that. And that's just again back to the old Rogic that just.
As a moment he ran into the box and he's kind of, I don't know if you imagine he's doing 2 or 3 of them and he could have took a shot or just try to let something off, and he just decided I'm going to do another wee step over and try and run through, and he just ran into a wall and got it took off him.
Because
things like that.
When he made a few of the kind of runs, and you could tell that the Dundee United defence weren't getting near him. So he never. So that's how he was getting the chance to do that. But then his decision making was just out the window.
Just in full flight, man. Just no fucking no that slow or nothing.
Just like Joonas said there, what the lads are saying there, that the service was there for yesterday. He wasn't getting in the box. He wasn't doing what we thought of a striker. We thought he was a goal poacher. Like those crosses yesterday into the box, and there was no one there. It was pretty comfortable for your centre backs and back line yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, I think I was concerned obviously when it started, like with the crosses that were coming in, and I was like, you know what? There's only going to be a matter of time if we keep letting crosses come in that we're going to pay the price. And then that one, like I said, I think it was, I can't remember, it was maybe Abada that got in and down the right, or Ralston or whoever it was, and cut it back to Ayeti. And I'm thinking, I seen it rolling across and he was stood there, and I was raging because I was like, this is going to be 2-1. I mean, just before half time as well, we would need, because if we'd managed to get in at 1-1, obviously it would have been a big bonus for us. And I was thinking, that's just typical United, defended well all half and then we conceded just before half time, but thankfully ballooned it into the terraces, you know what I mean? But I think there was enough balls going across the box that if you had anybody half decent in the box, you probably would have fancied to nip one of them their chances away, like.
Yeah, but he does it like, I know Michael spoke, I do probably know Michael's thoughts on it, yes, he heard us more than us as well, but he doesn't seem to be a Celtic player who, the way Ange wants to play, he just doesn't suit that system. Like, your manager's clearly playing to your players' strengths, and we have players here that can't play to our manager's strengths. Like, it has to give something, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the thing is as well, if you're going to be playing with a high press and high intensity style, you can't play that with people that aren't mobile. You know what I mean? So if you can't run, then you're going to be useless in that style. And you'll only get goals if you're just, like you said, if he's standing on the penalty spot and the ball falls to him, fair enough. But other than that, he's basically useless if you're playing a system with movement, you know what I mean?
If Kyogo, you obviously saw how impressive he was for us, so we're constantly saying that we're lacking his movement. Just what you're saying there, like, is that he doesn't offer us that movement that Kyogo would have. Would you have been kind of a bit fearful of playing against Kyogo yesterday if he was fit, considering the way he moves, this young lad Carey say?
Well, I was absolutely, not delighted obviously because we didn't want all his injuries, but I was personally happy that we weren't going to be facing him, because the likes of Ryan Edwards and that, they're solid in the first header and tackle, but they're not the best when it comes to dealing with pace or like the intricate runners with movement, because are they big brute centre halves? They're good at certain things, but they're maybe not the best when they're up against the wee nippy technical player. So I was happy, and Edwards in that will defend. I'm non-mobile striker that just stands in the penalty box. As long as you beat him to the first ball or tackle, you can deal with that. But Kyogo would have been a threat, so I'm glad he wasn't playing.
That just sums it up there, Mark. That how static actually, yes, he is. That Edwards, they were so comfortable with the ball being played into yesterday, because if they got in front of him, they got the ball because he's so static and he's lacking movement, creating nothing for Celtic, even to make space. Like, and Barry just quoted, Joonas just quoted Barry what Barry was saying about Kyogo, that no big centre half would want to play against him because he's so mobile, you know, and that with Yeti, it's just so easy for him, Mark, isn't it? A centre back playing against him, like.
It's like defending 101, Paul.
Yeah.
That's like what Joonas is saying. These big, muscly, ball-winning centre backs can mark players like Yeti easy. It's an easy shift for them.
Uh-huh.
All they need to do is get to the ball first, because he's not going to make a move to get to the ball. It's just defending 101, and any half decent defender can do that all day, really, Paul.
But not just that, Jonas. Myself and Mark and a lot of the lads on the live chat are saying we have two similar players in Tom Mill and Roger, that they're too similar that they can't play each other. Have you ever had that during your Dundee United days, Jonas, that you had two players that were so similar that they couldn't play together? I kind of what was done about it, if you had?
No, it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the biggest problems we had last season was we had Harks and Butcher, two just sort of sit in midfield, and it was two. There was no creativity whatsoever. But now that Butcher wasn't in the side yesterday, we've got Dylan Levitt, who we've got on loan from Man United. I thought he was brilliant yesterday as well. So his range of passing and stuff. And then it makes Harks better, because Harks was... See that, like, when Harks got that goal yesterday, see last season under Mellon, he would never have been there because he'd be playing holding midfield.
Yeah, he would be up that pitch, yeah.
Exactly, with Fuchs sitting and then Levitt passing the ball, then it gives Harks and people like that to chat, like, can get further up the park. So no, we definitely suffered with that last season. We had two midfielders that were too similar and there was no creativity. It's maybe different for you lads. They're two creative midfielders that stifle each other's creativity, whereas we had two midfielders that were too defensive, and then that negated any creativity that we had. So no, I definitely kind of see where you're coming from with that point of view.
There's a prime example, Mark, when you have two players quite similar, like in Jonas Tops there were two defensive fielders, but the two defensive fielders would kind of get the rhythm of the game going, the passing of your game, like they'll pick out the passes. But another side is that the opposite side, that we have two similar players, and we have two players, Mark, right, that don't do the press, the edge, and they don't.
Job, Paul, that's for me. That's what it is.
And they won't do the press either, Mark, the edge once or forms to do Turnbull or Logic won't go in for a tackle either.
No.
You know, it just doesn't work, like, you know what I mean? And, like, you understand, they're like, they saw that last season. They put Fuchs in there to let one of them free up, and look at the benefits that they got. Then Harks is able to move up the pitch, and if he wasn't on the pitch, if Fuchs wasn't playing, Harkins would have been, this time last year, he would have been a defensive midfielder, and he would be up that side of the pitch. Like, so it doesn't work like it, and it hasn't worked for England for years, Mark. They tried to get, we say, Lampard and Gerrard to play for in centre midfield for years, and that never worked. It doesn't work if you have two similar players. And you think now that our players are fit, that maybe Adge actually sees what we're seeing. Like, that's the big question. Well, is he seeing what we're seeing, Mark? You know,
with injuries in that, Paul, I think it's just what he's doing today, kind of thing. That's what I think. A lot of the selections because of the new. But once as I say, McGregor's back fit, McCarthy's game speed up. For me, McGregor, McCarthy, and Rogic, that'll be the midfield three. Because they're all offering you something different, Paul. You know what I mean? For me, see the balls that Turnbull's going for. It's the same balls that Rogic's going for. That kind. It's just. I mean, it is.
They're in the same position as like one is one. They're kind of getting shoulder to shoulder, really, Mark, aren't they?
Same style's the same and everything. It's just so. I mean, none of them's like the longest up players. I mean, Rogic is a big bit of a lad, and he's off his powder puff, I think.
Do you want to come in on Thornhill Rogic? I know we spoke a lot about it, but they really can't play. You go for a Thornhill, John, yeah?
No, that's not me, mate.
Either I thought it was you, Paul. What was that earlier? An aeroplane flying through your room or something?
That's his private jet in it, Paul.
Huh? That's the podcast. The money coming in from the podcast. John was just saying, like, they really when players are faced, like Mark said, it either has to be one or the other, doesn't it? Tom or Roger.
Aye, Mark's midfield three, I got spot on. I think obviously with McGregor, McCarthy, and either one of those two. So obviously I think McCarthy's going to be the sitting one and protects the back four. And McGregor's just going to be one that dictates what the play. He'll get back and forward, take the defence and the attacking. Obviously, or it's Rogic or Tumble. They'll be the one that's creating and kind of getting goals and assists and stuff like that. But what Mark was saying, that's a midfield three I'll be going. I mean, I don't think you're too really. They don't fit in the same team we got on. That's what we're lacking now, that kind of player that's going to sit, do the protection, and we're missing McGregor big time as well.
Maybe even put Kyogo in there, as I was saying the other night.
Yeah, behind
just kind of free roll, just floating about and just going for the wings.
It seems to be like a 4-3-3 he's playing, isn't it? So Cal McGregor and Kyogo is your three. I mean, McCarthy and McGregor together, that's a good partnership in my opinion, and that would let Kyogo go and take up that kind of free role, just
creating all the havoc in it. We get them behind just his pace. And
I don't think Jacko's came here to sit on the bench. So he's going to be playing, and I'm not keen at Kyogo out on the left, and Jota's doing well out there then as well. So keep Kyogo in the middle area, but just playing it like between the midfield and the attack.
You've tells you obviously Jack Amokas up top in it with his height. You also get the crosses coming in, and he's going to get in the end of him. And with Kyogo in it, people are just going to give people problems, and they're not able to keep their eye on them. You get that free roll just floating about everywhere, and then you've got the big man obviously getting tapped in the balls and stuff like that. But it's a good shout, Mark, definitely, and it's worth a thought.
You noticed the other night there, last Wednesday we had former Celtic player and former Dundee United manager Jackie McNamara on the podcast, but we asked him a question that with Andrew's teams, there seems to be no plan B. It seems to be one way or nowhere, the high press, the fast feed football and stuff like that. And we asked Jackie, like, should he have a plan B? Like, should there be a different option? Like, and he said, like, you should and you stuff like that. Does coach have a different option to where you play if you go down 1-0, or does he change things up front, or what's the approach he would take in positions like that?
Spot on yesterday, Paul. You went right up the park and you know what I mean, sir? Obviously, he knows kind of what he's doing when they go a goal down. I think,
see, to be fair to him, it's his first big job, right? And he has made a couple of mistakes. Against Hearts, he started a young lad, Chris Mockray, with Levitt and Fuchs and Paul, and it was two that we were overrunning midfield because they had two big, Peter Haring and the lad Beningame, two big lads in the middle of the park, and it was ineffective. But to be fair, he made a change, brought Butcher on to solidify the midfield, and then released Fuchs further up the park, and then Harks got to drive up, and that's when we created 4 or 5 chances. So his in-game management has actually been reasonably good, and he hasn't been too slow to act. There's been a couple of substitutions that he's got wrong, but you can put that down to him and being an inexperienced coach. But I think his philosophy is to try and stick to a sort of attacking, high-pressing sort of game of football, you know what I mean? Because we're quite solid at the back. We don't really concede a lot of goals, so we've got a steady foundation, but we're now actually allowing the creative guys to go forward and actually create, rather than under Mickey Mel and just having 11 men behind the ball and hoping to nick a set piece or something, you know what I mean?
Well, sorry, but notice what was your thoughts on Jackie McNamara as a manager at Dundee United? Just to get your own, like a Dundee United supporter talking about it.
Well, the thing is, I think the fan base turned on him once the contract details and that got leaked. But under McNamara, we played some unbelievable football, and he had a great team at his disposal, and the wheels sort of started to fall off when a lot of players were sold. But then a lot of that was down to the chairman as well. So you're not really privy to what goes on behind the scenes and stuff like that and whatever. But like I say, we had great times under McNamara, and it kind of fell off a cliff. And then it was a combination of his contract being leaked and other bits and pieces that went against him, and sort of fan base turned against him. But he was probably, the chairman certainly didn't help his cause either.
He said he was a bit weird, a weird guy to kind of try and deal with.
And even selling players, and he knew that there was a bid coming from McCoy. He knew that he was going to leave, but they sold Armstrong kind of behind his back as well on deadline day, which was another blow to him, Joonas, you know.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like that's definitely it. Like, and like I say, at the end of the day, as fans, we only know so much of what's going on, and we hear rumours and things like that. But even the season that we got relegated, Thompson promised them a war chest in January to keep us up, but then we went after free agents and guys in their 30s that hadn't played football for 18 months and things. Yeah. So I don't think he was never probably. There was probably a lot of broken promises there and stuff as well, and his hands were tied to a certain extent. But like I say, I think his sort of like tenure became untenable as soon as they found out he was making a profit on like sort of player sales. But again, those kind of contracts shouldn't be getting leaked either. So I'm not really going to say too much on the subject, but that's what's my sort of opinion is on it anyway.
Mark, just go what I was asking you on is that, look, I know we spoke to Jackie about it, I think, like, but at the moment, it could be down to injuries, obviously, right? Because we saw the bench yesterday, Mark, we actually had no attacking threat really, rather than being a left side defender in Montgomery. On to kind of change the game. That was really the only threat we had the bench yesterday. Like, but going forward, if we're fit and if we're struggling against teams like Dundee United, like we struggled against Hearts and stuff like that, where we're losing games or drawing games, we need a goal. Considering of what we've seen of Ange and what we've known of Ange, right? Do you think that he's the type of manager to change his system to maybe?
No, it's not the system he's changed, Paul. The system can still be the system.
Or change the personnel, sorry.
But I mean, we've said this, right? They were talking about whether it be Kyogo or Big Jacko up front. Right away, you can't just, if it's big Greek guy, you're going to just cross the ball into the box and hope he gets on it. There's no point to cross the ball into the box for Kyogo to get it.
But even if we're struggling, right?
Talk about it before. We've three different types of strikers.
But my point is, like, we seen it before, it like some Brendan Rodgers, we seen Neil Lennon that maybe one of us centre halves might go up front and we need a goal in Europe or something like that, and well, we need to lob the ball into the box and stuff like that. Like, can you see Ange being the type of manager that's going to do that? That we badly need a goal. That would we see one of us centre halves going up front to get a goal? That's what I'm kind of saying. You know, that would he go to, or would he continue?
That's extreme, isn't it?
It depends on the situation. If you're chasing a goal and get an equaliser in the last couple of minutes, and you're going to throw everybody up, wouldn't you? Taking into the 90th minute, you're going to try and get your big boys in the box and just slump into the box. But
what would you think he's the type of manager that would do that, John?
I don't know. I think he's one of the ones. He's adamant on his style. He's got his style of football and how he likes to play football. And I think he believes in himself, and I think he believes when he gets the players up to how he feels they should be fit and the right quality of player in every position. I think he feels obviously that team will fly, and I've got that confidence in him as well because I've looked him up and everywhere he's been, and it's always been the same at the start. And then he stops starting when he gets all the players in that he needs and he gets them up to the standard he wants them at, and that team just flies and takes there. And I think there's somebody like a sports guy in Australia or something says that I don't know what team it was a Brisbane team, I know it's the best footballing team Australia's ever seen. Well, assuming they had all the criticism at the start with him as well, and people were all doubting him, and he just says to them, listen, judge me within a year. And at the end of that year, I think everybody were eating their words. And that's, looking at the now, I'll see where we're at the end of the season and see what he's done. And I've still got confidence in him, and I just think, I feel a bit sorry for him, obviously, with the option, we've got nothing on the bench. And yesterday, everything was there with the service into the box, and I just think Ajeti let him doing big time. I mean,
the Celtic,
nothing there.
The Celtic team, but was it right? It's if you put Cal McGregor and Kyogo in that, it's a different animal altogether, right away.
100%, Mark. Even Kyogo, I'm getting him behind, and I think Kyogo's just got that instinct on him as well. He'd latched onto one or two of the balls, and if you put that in front of Kyogo, the one Ajeti skived, and that's going in the back of the net, I think. But you see yourself, with those two on, it's a different ball game.
You're just looking at the start team yesterday. Like, I know we had injuries, but considering the size of squads that Celtic had over the years, and we signed fairly bad players and stuff like that, and Dundee United had their own kind of a mismanagement on the boards over the years. You told us the liquidation, stuff like that. This is clearly mismanagement by Celtic board, that we actually didn't have an attacking threat to come onto the bench into.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like I say, you need to sort of identify areas across the board where you need to strengthen, and ideally you'd maybe like to look, if a game's not going your way, your manager would like to look behind them and say, we've got 2 or 3 options on the bench. But that's the problem we've got as well. We've got no sort of striking options. We've got Nicky Clark and Mark McNulty. McNulty's just tore his hamstring, so he could be 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
So we've only got Nicky Clark really as a recognised striker, and then young Louis Appert, who you could maybe play up front, even though it's probably not his best position. So that's
McNulty only just came back to the club, didn't he? During the transfer window, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly, and that's where we're like now, and it's kind of one of those things where we should have probably went and got someone as well. But so we're kind of on the same boat as you lads with that. You know what I mean, in the sense that we're a bit light up front.
But I don't, we can't. We're too. Kyogo got injured away in international duty.
Yeah.
The Greek guy Jacko's not been. Well, he's no fit for his come in kind of thing. But I don't think you can lay the blame for that at the board's door.
No, what I'm saying is,
if you only play with 1 striker up front, you only need 3 strikers on your books.
True.
Just been that on. I mean, if you've got.
I'm just going what people are saying on the forums and like that. They blame the board. It's mismanagement that we don't have. we don't have striking options on the benchmark. That we don't have a recognised striker to come in there. It's bad management by the board. That the players we brought in, it wasn't enough. We should have brought in more. You know, that's what Celtic fans are kind of saying, isn't it?
Oh, do you think you know?
Sit in the stand, Paul, when everybody else is.
Yeah. That's it. Like we always could.
Maybe we could have, like what Rangers done with Defoe or something like that. Get a right old guy in or something just to make up the numbers on the eventuality of what's happened to is happening. But I don't. It's just we've been that unlucky with injuries. It's kind of.
Oh, I flip it the other way. That is what John said there. That we clearly don't have a young striker back within our youth system that can actually step up to that level.
Well, that's
that's the problem, isn't it?
If any other club had like our kind of injury crisis, if you want to call it that, with your 3 strikers and 2 of them are out injured at the time, you'd think that you've got somebody that you've set up but good enough to even sit on the bench. I don't know if they bring on that young lad Moffat yesterday and just because they'd have done better than Ayeti was doing.
Most definitely.
He's that wee guy Moffat, he's something about him. I've kind of watched him a few times. He's got a bit of dig about him. He likes to drive forward and he likes to have a shot in that as well, and he gets involved in a lot of things about the box. And I don't think he's shy, and I think in pre-season as well he wasn't shy. He was kind of getting involved a lot in the game. But I didn't think we're allowed to bring players up for the B squad. I thought that was at shot because of a kind of like a different team. And I way you get to see playing this kind of the same like the Scottish League. I didn't think that was allowed to happen. I don't know where that.
I just want to one of Jonas' buddies as on the live chat as well, and I'll ask Jonas the question, like, what have opposition fans saying about Celtic at the moment, Jonas?
Just sort of saying that, I mean, when the first you were putting lots of goals past everybody, it was kind of, they looked like, you know, a good side and stuff, but I think everybody sort of said the same thing. They look shaky at the back, even when they've been playing in Europe and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're saying that decent going forward when you've got all your players, but they're still a wee bit rocky at maybe centre half and stuff like that. Seems to be the sort of consensus at the minute.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue back that kind of hasn't kind of connected yet. Is the back line. We're still kind of leaking goals. Staff felt again. Yes, they looked a bit shaky, didn't they?
Aye, another poor performance for him as well. But even at their goal, I think him and Carlton Vickers have got to take responsibility for it. I mean, again, it's that zonal marking. None of them knew who was picking up anybody or nothing.
Who was the boy who scored again for United? I think he took that goal well, so he did, man. He took it in his head, he placed it brilliantly.
Ian Hart.
Aye, he took it well, just the way he guided it right into the goal. It was a nice header, man.
You're scored by the league table. Like, are you happy with the position you are at the moment, or do you think you should be better, or are you content with, like you said, like you're sitting on, is it 11 points, is it? You're quite happy with that this time long, considering the changes he had at management?
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of boys were saying that after 7 games or whatever, or after, or would be sitting bottom of the league with no points in August and that. But this was before we'd had players signed, and there was you know what I mean, and there was a bit of panic and a bit of sort of like, where's the next signing coming from, or how's the manager going to do with his inexperience and things. But to be sitting fifth after sort of half a dozen games we've had a tough fixture list. Yeah, I'm satisfied. Like, you know what I mean?
After beating Rangers and going to Celtic Park and getting a draw, as you said, Joonas, games you don't expect to take anything for.
And then we've also had Hearts and Aberdeen in that as well. You know what I mean? And St Johnstone, who won a cup double last year, so we've had a difficult start. Like, you know what I mean?
Hard to start out the league when you look
It
at
probably is, actually. We probably got the hardest start. Even fans at other clubs at the time were saying that United have probably got the hardest start. So to come out with that, with 11 points out of 21 available, I think it's a really good start considering the fixtures we got dealt.
Just looking at your next few matches, on Saturday the 2nd of October, you have Ross County at home, you have Hibernian away, you've Motherwell at home, you've Livingston away, St Johnstone at home, and you've Hearts away. Tough fixtures in there as well, and one tough fixture that Celtic struggled in, and it's the ground units that we're not in favour of, is the artificial grass. How do your fans feel about this artificial grass played on that? And is it a tough ground to go on because of this artificial grass? That Celtic, we actually haven't won there in a long time ourselves.
We've got a horrendous record against Livingston, even going back to when they were on grass. So they're just a bogey team for us in general. But I think, yeah, I'm not a fan. I think we had this conversation before as well, and I think every single top flight pitch in every country should be grass, in my opinion, unless you're playing in Scandinavia or countries with extreme winters, where unless you've got artificial pitches you can't get games on. You can kind of mitigate for that. But I think every professional club should have a grass surface, even in the lower leagues. If you're a professional outfit, you should be playing on a grass surface, because it does give teams an advantage, because the way the ball bounces and the injuries that you can pick up on it and stuff like that. The ball doesn't roll through. The pitches are a lot quicker. And the thing is as well, a lot of the clubs, they don't have a training ground either, like separate to that. They train in their stadium on that park all the time.
So they're well used to that pitch then as well, exactly, yeah.
So people talk about the state of the pitches, not people say, but it's the same for base teams. But Livingston play on it every week. They train on it every day.
Wow.
What's an advantage to them?
Exactly. And it is an advantage. And like you say, okay, we've got obviously an artificial pitch at our training ground, and we probably train on that a couple of days before we go onto the pitches, but that's a couple of days training in the build up to a game. We're not training on that every 365 days a year. You know what I mean?
I bet the one at your training ground's in better nick than Livingston's is, Joonas.
Yeah, exactly, because we only use it in preparation probably for games like that, or when it's adverse weather conditions. We'll train on grass probably 95% of the time all year round.
It's amazing, like Mark, like that. I actually didn't know that. That Livingston would actually that they actually train on that pitch as well. Like never knew it. Like, that's clearly an advantage for any home team that plays and trains on the artificial surface. As you always said, they're like Celtic are probably the same. Mark, they probably train in grass 95% of the time as well, and they only go to the all-weather pitch because of extreme weathers as well. You know, it's a ground that really teams struggling due to the fact that it is artificial grass. But we seem to struggle those as well at this year, anyway, just because of injuries and stuff like that. We can't get, as what they call this edge ball, the fast free foot. But at the moment, we see we can't play against teams that have 11 men against the ball. You know, backs to the wall. We struggle to break them down. Now, as you said, there's due as well to Kyogo, that he makes that movement and he'll open up these spaces. But if we don't have Kyogo, we just can't do it. You know. Are you there, Joonas?
Yeah. No, I'm just sorry. I was just listening to what you were saying, but no, like.
Would Dundee like the same? Like, do we? Because you would play kind of similar. Like you like playing football and move. Like, do you struggle against 11 teams like backs to the wall.
Well, see, to be fair, apart from we don't really have any teams that set up against us to be backs to the wall because we're not classed, like, we're obviously not on the same financial level or player quality level as like the Glasgow clubs, like, you know what I mean. So
you get teams attacking then as well.
Yeah, every single game that we'll be involved in, like that Ross County game, will be an open game at the weekend because nobody really. In the Championship, teams set up and parked the bus against us and we struggled against them, the likes of Allo and sort of lower clubs like that. But we'll not get anybody in this league setting up to park the bus against us, so we kind of can go out and play the same way all the time because everybody else is open. Because apart from the two teams at the top of the, like you lads, and then maybe Hibs and that, the way they're playing, anybody can beat anybody really, I think. So it's pretty open regardless against everybody else, you know what I mean? So we don't really need to combat teams that park the bus unless we got a cup tie against Montrose or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I always think it's, Mark, as I said a few times, it's always harder to play against the teams at the bottom of the league that will play the dirty game, that they're just quite happy to lob the ball anywhere. You know, we do struggle. Not just this season, Mark. We saw it last season as well. That, and even under Brendan Rodgers, that we struggle, Mark, against teams that park the bus, don't we?
That's fine. The last time we didn't do it, Paul.
We did. We dropped out. Yeah,
Sinclair in the team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just down to the players, and I think Jota. I thought he had a great game yesterday. Even I said the first couple of games I seen him, Paul, I thought he maybe needed to work his final ball a bit and that, but just some of his delivery yesterday was fantastic, I thought. But so the likes of Jota, Abada, Kyogo's, that's what these players will be able to, should be bringing to the table. That's what they should be. That's what they've been brought in today, Paul. When we're up against these teams that are like just a lot. I mean, really, it is. We joke about 10 men into the ball, but it's not. It's 11 men for the most of the game. So you look at these players that are a wee bit special and have got that wee bit of quality, and that's where you're looking for them to come in and do something to break down these defences.
Let's have a look at your player rations back, and you can give us your Dundee United player rations just as we go along. Mark, do you want to start?
Right, Joe Hart, I didn't really have much today. Well, he was well beaten at a goal, but he made a good save late on, that one that Joonas was talking about. I can't mind the guy's name. I gave him a 6. Ralston, he was running up and down all day, but I thought he had a poor. I wasn't. He's been kind of getting back to running about just like a headless chicken and no actually doing. Do you know what I mean? He's not playing football the way he was when he first was playing really earlier in the season. He just back to being that running up and down. And he slipped, didn't he? Let the boy put the cross in for the goal, so I gave him a 6. Starfelt just looked shaky at times, really struggling to settle down. I gave him a 6. Carter Vickers, finally we've got somebody who's got a bit of an aerial presence in the team, but that's one thing I've noticed about him. He was solid enough, tried to push us forward. But as I said earlier, him and Starfelt have got to take some responsibility for the goal because your centre backs should be attacking that to defend it. I gave him a 7. Juranovic, thought he was having a decent enough game before he had to go off injured. I gave him a 5. McElhone, thought woeful. That was a woeful performance there. I don't know why he's fit enough. Just not.
Do you think as well, Mark, though, due to McCarthy, and I was thinking about it, like, do you think that's because he's played in front of Tobin and Rogic that McCarthy actually needs a bit of protection as well from the people above him, that the likes of Cal McGregor would give McCarthy that protection as well?
I don't think he'd be playing. He'd be in the team if McGregor was not injured, Paul. I really don't. Just there's something, he's just nowhere near fit enough. I gave him Garcia, I gave him a 4. Just Turnbull done much at all. He was unlucky when he hit the bar.
That was about it, really, Mark, wasn't it?
Done a lot of running about, but didn't really have much effect in the game. Rogic, he put in a bit of a better performance in Turnbull, but again, as I said earlier, he's always looking for that extra touch when he should be passing it or shooting even. Gave him a 6. Abada, I thought he played really well, worked hard, got another goal, and well, he should have an assist for that, a Yeti one as well. I gave him a 7. just an empty jersey. Just need. Give him a 3.
Yeah, Jesus, like it's really like to give a Celtic player, Mark. Like you'll always try to give up
Aye.
a decent score, but like there was actually no heart in the yesterday. Like I just got nothing off it. Do you know what I mean? And
If I start
so-
starting, he just went into his shell.
yeah, it's not working for the market. It's not working. And you says you quote this. Yeah, sorry, Mark.
Jota, I've given him my man of the match. I thought he was a constant threat if he could down the wing. Unlucky not to score at the end as well. As I said earlier, if we get a decent striker in there, Jota will
Yeah,
plenty of goals for us. I'm really impressed with Jota there. Montgomery came on and put in another competent performance. He just kind of seems to just do a kind of higher. He's like a 6 or a 7 every week.
yeah, sturdy.
And for a young player that kind of young, that's good to see. Yeah, I gave him a 6. Sorrell played another couple of nice passes and probably put in a better performance than McCarthy did, but he needs to calm down and he just seems to run about like a heedless chicken. Like,
Yeah, even his passing there as well again, Mark. Yesterday, like his passing is kind of wayward. He's as if he's not looking where he's passing the ball or something. Like I don't know how many times he gave the ball away yesterday, Zaro. You know, and like yours was on the podcast there when we were talking about Zaro last year. Like would he be the next Scott Brown? And I'll just get yours' thought on Zaro there. Yours, like you on the podcast loads of times just we spoke about Zaro. Is he the next Scott Brown? Will he be the player like? Well, he's clearly after kind of taking his eye off the ball. I don't know what's after happening to him.
I think he just needs to settle down. He strikes me as quite frantic. He just seems to be 100 miles an hour. He just maybe needs to take a breath because when he does the basics, he does them quite well. But I think he's probably over. I think he's trying too hard. Maybe he just needs to settle down a wee bit. That's what I would take from him.
And just what Mark was saying there as well. Not just for Celtic, but for Scotland. Like we're gradually seeing young players actually coming up in the Scottish ranks. And look, we have the young lad Kerr for Dundee United, but one Celtic player who's actually coming on and he actually does an amazing job for us is the lad Montgomery, Joonas.
Well, he looked. I was quite impressed with him yesterday. He looked composed in that for a young lad. Yeah, so no, he looked like a decent player. Definitely looked like just steady. Didn't do anything, and he just did the basics well. You know what I mean? Didn't looked as if he played at a decent level for longer than he had done.
Mm-hmm. Joonas, we'll come to yours for the Dundee United and just see how you think the Dundee United fares against the Celtic team.
Right, so I'll give Benjamin Seagast. I'll give him a 6 because not at fault for the goal. He had a save where he had to turn it around the post from. Can't remember who it was. It was maybe from Jota, but he wasn't overly troubled.
Was he lucky to stay in the pitch, Joonas?
Again, it's one of them ones where I don't know if he's looked to see where the boy is. It probably looks worse when you can slow it down. Every time you slow it down, it looks worse. But he's not got that in him. I don't think he's malicious. I don't think it was. He's went out his way to try and do him. He's probably just got his leg up to protect himself because he's looking at the ball. So he thinks he's going to get poleaxed because he maybe thinks the boy's going to smash him in midair. So I don't think he's went out to do him
Yeah. Did you watch?
Scott McMahon, I would say a 6 because he was at fault for Abada's goal. He kind of just he was sleeping at the back post and Abada just nipped across him. And a guy with his aggression and height shouldn't be getting beat as easy as that. But he redeemed himself with a pass in the build-up to the equaliser. So give him a 6. Ryan Edwards a 6 again, not really unduly troubled. Kerr Smith 7, just composed for a 16-year-old lad. I would have given him a 6, but I'm just giving him a 7 based on the fact he was could even maybe be pushing towards an 8 just because he's a 16-year-old lad in that sort of stadium against a good side. So 7 or 8 for him. Kieran Freeman, I would say a 6 again. Struggled against Jota in the first half, and was also didn't stop the cross coming in for the opening goal. So I would say he settled down after that. So he was steady enough at 6. John Doe Fuchs, I would probably say an 8. Again, his tackle on McCarthy, I don't think it was malicious. McCarthy got a hospital ball and Fuchs has seen an opportunity to try and win it, and he just arrived late. There was no intent from him to do the boy, Ken. He's not that kind of player again. I don't think a red card would have been harsh. It's one of them. If that had been McCarthy the other way around, you lads would have probably been saying the same thing. So
probably Joonas.
You know what I mean? It's not like, you know what I mean? It wasn't over the top of the ball, or he wasn't knee high or anything like that. He just arrived too late. So I would give him and Peter Paul, I would say 7, just because he was good on the ball and he drove us up the park. Hearts I would give an 8 to as well, just consistent, got the equaliser and he was just everywhere. Dylan Levitt 7 just for his passing, kept the game ticking over for us. Niskanen a 6 probably. Struggled a wee bit for fitness, but that's only like his 3rd game. He's just in the country, got a good crossing for the equaliser and looked dangerous. He cut in, there was a shot that went just wide in the second half as well, where could have went in. And then Nicky Clark a 6 as well. Hard shift for anybody, a lone striker away at Celtic at any time, you know what I mean? But I thought he knocked his pan in, you know what I mean? And a shift ran his cell into the ground. Same for Adrian Sporla when he came on. Give him a 5. I thought he drove us up the park a couple of times, had a couple of attempts as well. And then Louis Apere, probably a 4. He just looks a bit devoid of confidence, and I think he's got to do better with that chance at the end there. I mean, he took too many touches. I don't understand why he just didn't hit it at the time. And that was right in the stoppage time, so could have maybe nicked it. So I'll give him a 4 off the bench.
Penalty incident.
I think it is a penalty. And the thing is, I got the pay-per-view yesterday, so obviously I had the Celtic TV commentary, and Simon Donnelly and the main commentator said it was a pen, and Hartson and Petrov both said it should have been a penalty in the studio as well. So I think he's got barged in the back, you know what I mean, and he's through 1-on-1, so I think it's got to be a penalty, you know what I mean.
You see them give it. The incident always. Where you go, mate?
No, I was going to say was, but I think it was a penalty as well, but I thought that Starfelt was fouled before it.
Aye, that's what I was about to say. It shouldn't have got to that moment. It should have been pulled back for a free kick right away. So it shouldn't have got to the moment they're in a position to score for, obviously, from what you brought down for a penalty. So I think it'd have been a bit unjust if we got a penalty against us for that. So it should have been brought back.
I can see both sides of the argument as well. It's one of those ones where, like, if that was at the other end and say someone had barged Kerr Smith off the ball and that was Ayeti going through, you would have been screaming for a penalty as well. So it's one of them ones. You just see it through you'll shout for anything as a fan, you know what I mean? It's one of them, is it?
Yeah, but you see them
see both sides of the argument.
You see these penalties being given, Mark. You know what I mean? Are we seeing penalties being given?
For me, it was a stone.
Yeah, definitely a penalty.
There's no doubt it should have been given. I'm just saying, I think it should have got to what John's saying. The foul should have been given on Starfelt.
I actually think that's maybe why the referee didn't give it. I think he realised that he's missed that foul. Like he thinks he's made a mistake by not giving you the free kick. And then he's not gave the penalty because he's maybe realised, like, in a fraction of a second, that he should have gave a free kick. You know what I mean?
You're not the biggest fan. No.
Nah, the ref was perfect. The ref was shocking.
You're not a big fan of Clancy anyway. You're yourself, Joonas.
Nah, we've had numerous poor decisions. I mean, we had Clancy in that Rangers game when we beat them 1-0, and like I say, 5 minutes of stoppage time. He was looking every time a Rangers player went down in the box. He was looking for an opportunity to give something. You know what I mean? And there was a couple of times where even Tavernier was taking corners and the ball wasn't in the quadrant and everything, and linesmen and they just let him take the kicks and everything. Hey, I've never been keen on Clancy, so I wasn't surprised he had a poor game. Just the standard of refereing in general in Scotland. You see 5 or 6 horrendous decisions every weekend, regardless of what game you're watching. You know what I mean?
I've said that, or I don't buy into all the. I'm not saying maybe it's even subconsciously going, you know what I mean, the kind of all these paranoid folk about the biasness and that. I just think the standard of refereeing in Scotland's just abysmal. It really is.
It's shocking.
Even if it is biasness that's doing it, the actual incompetence is helping to cover that up even more.
The thing is, man, I don't think you speak to every manager at every single club in the league every weekend, right? And there'll be, like say that penalty that was given against St Johnstone for Hibs when the boy had the ball blasted at him from a yard away and his hand was down by his side and they gave Hibs a penalty. You know what I mean? You're sitting there going, Callum Davidson's doing his dinger, but you can understand why, because it's an absolutely, I mean, you'd be incandescent if that went against your team, you know what I mean?
John?
See the thing about that as well, I've said this as well, see, like, it should be the managers that are calling all these things out on a regular basis, and not just when their team gets beat. Even if your team wins, but the referee gets a shocker, bring it up.
Yeah.
So the referee did a right good game there.
Exactly.
You can't just blame it on sour grapes. then if you're
when you lost, like, yeah, because then you're saying, Mark, oh, that's sour grapes again from Celtic. Do you know what I mean? You know?
like even Dundee United manager came out yesterday and saying, well, we think it was a penalty and that, but delighted to that point. But overall, I thought the referee had a poor game. For me, there's nothing at all wrong with that, but if he did come out and say it, he's hopped up in front of the SFA and gave bans and stuff like that.
But we did that after the Hibs game on the Thursday night. He come out and said that I've got to show a bit of decorum here, but we've been on the end of two scandalous decisions. I mean, Colin gave a penalty when he couldn't see the incident, just guessed, and then we had a goal to make it 3-2. Pollock was 3 yards onside, and the linesman's 5 yards away from play, looking through a ruck of bodies, just puts his flag up because he's guessed again. You know what I mean? So just horrendous. So like we've been on the end of like poor refereeing decisions every week near enough.
No, it never happened, Joonas. That's the thing about it. I mean,
I know they're not.
we've spoke about it. I don't know if you've been on before, but I know we've spoken about it. But if you're performing at your group to an acceptable level, you're either not going to do the job or getting demoted or something.
Or you're getting retrained or whatever. But they'll pick up their £1,000 a week, regardless of how poor their performances have been.
And still get a big, another £1,000 big game next weekend.
Well, they'll all be on big games. I can assure you, like Colin or Clancy won't be dropped for this weekend coming. No chance.
It's a scandal. I've said it before. I think referees should be UEFA that provides referees across all the leagues.
Exactly.
I think that would be one of the fairest ways to actually do it.
Yeah, it's true what yours says there. Like, it doesn't matter what game it is now. It seems to be a decision made by a referee that's kind of in the papers or as the talk about Scottish football at the moment. You know, like, yours, would you be maybe a fan of VAR coming into Scottish football in the future?
Well, the thing is with VAR as well, right? You could have Willie Collum refereeing the game, and then you could have Bobby Madden sitting in the VAR truck making the decision. So is the blind leading the blind? So would it be any better? You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Like,
I think it would probably be even worse because then they could say, well, we looked at it in VAR. Do you know what I mean? Because then they've got something, but they can't. They've looked at it again. They've got backup that they made the right decision on the park. I mean, it's just Willie Collum's not going to pull up Kevin Clancy for making a mistake or missing a penalty or things like that.
No, exactly, because it doesn't affect. At the end of the day, and until they start being held accountable, or there's a point system, or they're made to explain their decisions. Because the thing is, unless they should be getting demoted. If you have a bad game, you should be going down to the Championship or League One for the next couple of weeks or whatever. If you have a string of high-profile mistakes, that's what happens in other countries. But
you see that down in the Premier League. Joonas, if the referee has a bad game, he's not refereed the next week. You know,
exactly.
You know, it just as you said there, like nothing happens up in Scotland. They just let go. They're not even questioned over a bad decision. Like, you know what I mean? That's the problem. They're not even questioned by.
There's no accountability.
Yeah.
I've said this for years.
You know, and it's not going to change. What did you say, Mark? Who's in charge of the fella Dallas? Is it?
Well, I can't even mind the name of the guy who's in charge of the referees.
You know, well, it's not going to change. John, I just come to you for your team ratings.
Start with Joe Hart. I had much today, but so it's comfortable. That save he pulled off at the end, that's kind of a big moment for the keeper, obviously. Defines if you're walking away a point or none. I'll give him a 7 for that. I really took to Joe Hart if he came to this club. Ralston, I think I've always been leaving everything on the pitch and he's taking his opportunity as well, and he's kind of the cause of the goal yesterday with slipping and stuff, but Hartman's done it. But I'll give him a 6. 2 centre backs, Starfield was just not really doing anything for me really. Still shaky moments. I'll give him a 5. Big Vickers, I think there's a player in there and he's kind of looks comfortable and he's got that physicality about him and stuff, and I think he can read the game well. I think yesterday was really stood out too much, but I'll give him a 6. Juranovic, he kind of went half early and just went a bit comfortable, and in terms of the time he went half and stuff, I didn't really put into the game, so I'll give him a 5 for that. The middle of the park, Tumbo, didn't see anything off my top, so a 5. Big Rogic, kind of had 1 or 2 moments, he kind of unlocked the defence and he had that bit of magic about me, just didn't like shot off or try and have a shot. Give him a 6. I thought Abada he played well. He took his goal well. He kind of seems to do well in the air. He's getting up. He can get a leap up and go on the end of headers. I think that's a couple he scored now. I'll give him a 7. Jota, I thought he was amazing yesterday, just the way he was driving and the way he just kept trying to make things happen. He was the only player in the park that really stood out to me. It was like so he was wanting to win this game, and he got good crosses into the box. I'll give him a strong 8 for that. And a Jetty, I'll give him a lift to the airport. It was absolutely disgraceful yesterday. Then he just leave his empty strip floating about the park and hopefully a bit of wind blows into the ball and it gets close to the box. But he was dreadful, and to be honest, I'll give him a 1. Young Montgomery, just a 1. So that's me with Joonas. Montgomery, every time he comes on, the boy just looks calm, composed. He's been in that team for years. Created a wee 1 or 2 nervy moments for Dundee United when he drove in. I think he had a good cross the box. He had a cross him with it, and so there's nobody there to take it. And I'll give him a 7. Just some really taking to him as well. And I think the number 1 spot at left back should be his just now. I think he's earned it, and every time he's come on, he's been performance, and he's been comfortable. And I don't understand why he's not been gave it.
You're also a big boost for yourself as well. It's a position that we've been talking about as well in our own club, but mostly for yourself as well. Is having Seagas coming back only from injury.
Yeah, well, he actually came back a lot quicker than we expected because at first it was reports that he'd snapped his cruciate and he could be a season-ending injury, but then it turned out just to be bruising. There was no one near him. I think it was something like he was taking a go kick in training, or just one of those innocuous ones, and they always tend to be the worst ones when there's nobody around you. You know what I mean? But he was back in the sticks against Dundee, which was obviously welcome. So yeah, it's always good to have your best players thingy, and then obviously we've got 2 big injuries now with Mulgrew and McNulty out, but hopefully Mulgrew they're talking he might actually be touch or go for making Ross County this week, but even if he's not available, we've got confidence in Kerr Smith doing another shift today, so hopefully by the international breaks the week after, and then hopefully Mulgrew will be back by the following week,
Mark, it was a big blow for Charlie Mulgrew himself not to come back and play at Celtic Park himself.
They've been looking forward to that, really.
Especially with the fans be back. Joonas, yourself, what's it like to be for you being back in the stands? I know you've been to the games at Dundee and the Dundee game with Michael. What's it like for yourself being back, having the fans back in the stadium?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. It's just getting your sort of weekends back, because that's what I look forward to at the weekend. That's what I like doing. So it's getting to see your pals. It's getting back to watch your team, and after a week's work and that, it's the same as probably John and that. You know what I mean? He'll enjoy. I don't know. You go to the games, John, anyway, do you? So that'll be what you look forward to. You've worked all week or whatever, and then you look forward to the match on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
I try and go as many as I can. I'm not a season book holder, but a lot of my mates got season books and stuff, and one of my mates, he's got 2 for his 2 games, and obviously I got offered a lot of tickets all the time, and can I buy my tickets a lot? Just kind of how I do it. I don't know.
And an away's ticket.
Yeah, at first I was scaling the turnstiles for years, but I kind of grew up and it's getting embarrassing doing that, so tickets. Just all my mates are all just massive Celtic fans, and there's just that many season books about. Obviously a lot of the boys can't make it now. And, I had a ticket for the game yesterday, but I had too much to do, so kind of just about doing a lot of things, and I get back to watch it.
Mark, just before we go, I look at us Celtic's next fixtures, and look, they're coming thick and fast. They're not easy fixtures either. Thursday, of course, we have the Europa League group stage against Leverkusen. We've a hard
damage limitation for me, Paul.
Another tough game, and it's always a tough club. Mark, look, I don't care if Aberdeen are not having the best of starts either. Mark, Pitangi has always been a tough place for Celtic to go to. We've Motherwell away, we've the Europa League against Ferosh at home, and then we've St. Johnstone at home. The next 3, Mark, Leverkusen and 2 away games, they're tough games. Aberdeen and Motherwell, considering we haven't run away from home since February.
Just the way Aberdeen are playing, I'd be really, really disappointed if we didn't come down through there with 3 points, Paul. But we did the same with Livingston as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's a hard one to call. You know what I mean? It's when you're sitting, when you're sitting with a cold, heated moment, you're looking at it. It's a tough games we've got coming up.
I'm just hoping Mark we don't get a thumping on Thursday either, because that's going to breed into the weekend as well. If they get a thumping on Thursday, it's like considering where we are now, and we're down to our bare bones, or we're going into like Joonas watches the German league, and Joonas Bourdon have always been one of the top teams in Germany as well,
I think they're quite close to the top of the league just now as well.
Yeah.
I think they're only 3 points behind Bayern Munich or something, and they've started the season well. So yeah, and they won their first game against Ferencváros, I think, anyway. So I think it'll certainly be a tough game. Probably a game that you'd be hoping to go into a full squad as well. You know what I mean? We no injuries and that. You know what I mean?
I think we'd be, Mark, you don't want to see, you like to see Celtic lose, but Jesus, if Celtic came out with just 2-0 or 2-1 coming out of that game, you'd be really happy with that we didn't get dumped.
I'd accept that, Paul. I'd take 2-0, 2-1 or that, I'd take that.
Because
as Joonas says, maybe if he had Kyogo, McGregor and that, like a full strength team, maybe scrape a draw against them, but for me, they're a Champions League team, Paul.
They always have been that.
Aye.
Just to sit second place at the moment in the German league, is a big achievement, because German league is a tough league as well,
German league's the best in the world.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well. I think the German league's just in terms of football.
I probably watch German football than I do English football now. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched an English team.
I don't really watch English football. Look at the scores now and again. I'm just not interested in it. But to say with German football, Mark, I really I watch that quite a lot. I just think the football, you always find goals in it. It's just the games have got a lot of goals in them, and it's just good football they play. And they kind of produce a lot of their own talent as well, don't they? They don't really get in time raid all the leagues.
They stay there. But you notice that as well. It's rare, really. I mean, fair dues a lot at the very top of the game. Or maybe move to your Chelsea's, that bigger European clubs. But the majority of good.
Yeah, they do.
Just stay in Germany.
Should have a card there that's stayed with Bovril for his whole life. He never moved, top keeper.
Yeah, that's Bayern Munich's up there with your Real Madrids and Man United's and Celtic and that, and it's it's a club that you wouldn't ask to leave Bayern Munich if you were playing there, wouldn't you? You just one of the kind of special clubs.
Not really anywhere you could go if you left them, maybe the two Spanish giants, but there's no many other clubs that you could go to that are at that level, you know what I mean?
You should say going to Real Madrid or maybe Man United's maybe a sideways step, but anything else is going to be a downwards, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
John, that's Thursday's game, but we've another tough game at the weekend against Aberdeen, and then we've Motherwell away as well. The games are coming fast and thick now. That's the joys of playing in European football as well, that the games are coming fast. You've no time to breathe really now. So to consider the injuries we have, it's going to be a tough ask for October.
Definitely. Also, see the injuries we've got, it's definitely a tough ask, and Ajetti's offering, he's offering absolutely nothing. So if the big Greek boy's in, and he kind of proves himself when he comes in, I'll feel a bit more confident when we get 1 or 2 of these strikers back in. But just now, obviously, with just Ajetti up top, I'm not really feeling that confident. I'm feeling that way I was at the start of the season with Barkis. I was just feeling very unconfident because of it. But in terms of obviously the chances and that we're creating, obviously I've got hope, and obviously I'm confident as well. I always get to Celtic game confident. Sometimes I'll have that wee hang in me, just a wee shed of doubt, but I'll always give them obviously a confident mind. Obviously, I think we're going to get something out of this.
Perfect.
Just a photo. Just when we're talking about Aberdeen there, Joonas, what do you think about Stephen Glass? I think he's jackish and a shaky nail, and Scott Brown might be having his eye on his job.
Well, someone mentioned that actually, with Francis Scott Brown to maybe be in charge, but I think someone made a good point actually, right? See, under Derek McInnes, their record was a lot better last season, but the thing is as well, the Glass has come in and they threw money at him, right? They've signed that boy Ramirez from America, they spent a lot of money, made a lot of signings, but I'm not convinced that if hadn't given McInnes that same sort of funds, he wouldn't have been able to do a better job. I think that Glass is, I watched them yesterday against St Mirren because that was obviously on the telly. And even when they went 2-1 up, I was never convinced that they were going to win the game. And every week that SC Aberdeen getting worse, it enrages me more about how poor we were against them the first day of the season, because that's been our worst performance. But I'd be confident if we were to play them this weekend, it would be a different outcome.
Joonas, before we go, hope you'll join us next week. We'll start doing the SBL show. We'll have a look at the whole month of Scottish football for September if you're free. Myself and Mark would like to get you started that with us if you're free.
Being able to talk about Mike earlier on the day, obviously we were intending to do it at the beginning of this month, end of last month, but Mikey was not well, so we're still hoping that you'll do that with us, Joonas.
Yeah, no, that's something I'd be up for coming on a monthly basis for like a general chat about. I said that I'd be up for doing that. And Mikey messaged me earlier as well. He just says to say that he's obviously because he was busy at work, he was glad he couldn't come on tonight. But he just says to pass on his regards to everybody on the night anyway. So
perfect. Thanks to the Dundee fans on the live chat. Shed Boy. And we have Tangerine Dreamer. Thanks, lads, for joining us. Hope to see you again when Joonas comes on the podcast. Thanks to John, as always, for joining us on the podcast. Our own guys on the live chat. Mark will close the show.
Just the usual thanks, Paul, to you. Thanks to John and Joonas for joining us. All the guys in the live chat. And guys, Dundee United fans, thanks very much for dropping by. If you have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. And if you know how, please leave a message underneath the video. Thanks very much, lads. Hail, hail, God bless.
cheers, lads.
Cheers.